Part 1. The Mist Ceremony. The forest was alive with anticipation. A golden dawn filtered through the dense canopy, illuminating the clearing where the pack had gathered. The scent of pine mixed with the earthy musk of the wolves, and the air thrummed with excitement. Today was the mating ceremony, a sacred tradition for the lichen packs. Every young female ready to claim her mate would step forward. Every alpha seeking a bond would choose with unyielding authority. But among the crowd, Celine did not appear. Celine's hands were stained with blood. Someone else's blood. A stranger had collapsed near the village outskirts, an injured traveler barely clinging to life. Without hesitation, she had dragged him to her small cottage, tending his wounds through the night. Her pack's urgent calls and the ceremonial drums had been drowned out by the stranger's weak groans. The sun climbed higher, and still, she worked tirelessly, unaware that the fate she was meant to claim today, the honor, the recognition, the union with the Alpha King himself, was slipping through her fingers. Meanwhile, at the ceremonial clearing, Alpha King Rael stood tall, a figure carved from power and dominance. His silver eyes scanned the gathered females, each a vision of beauty and strength. Yet one face was missing. One female, the one he had been told would be his mate, was absent. Where is she? Rael's voice was calm but icy, carrying the weight of command. The council murmured uneasily. No one had seen Celine arrive. Some whispered of fear, others of shame, but Rael's intuition, a deep, primal connection he didn't fully understand yet, tightened like a coil in his chest. He did not wait. The ceremony was postponed, but not for long. Rael's decision was made. He would find her. Celine was unaware of the storm brewing outside her door. She had just finished bandaging the stranger's wounds, her hands trembling slightly from exhaustion. The man opened his eyes, pale and groggy, and whispered a faint thank you. Her heart ached, torn between duty and compassion. She had always believed in helping the helpless, even if it meant sacrificing herself. And now fate had placed her in a collision course with destiny. Suddenly, a deep, commanding growl rolled through the forest, shaking the air and causing the stranger to wince. Celine froze, sensing a presence far stronger than any human or wolf she had ever encountered. The hair on the back of her neck stood on end. She didn't need to see him to know who it was. The Alpha King had come. Hours later, the forest path leading to her cottage trembled beneath powerful, relentless footsteps. Rael's eyes, glowing silver in the dusk, locked onto the figure in the doorway. Celine's breath caught. He was taller, broader, and more terrifyingly beautiful than she had imagined. Every step he took exuded dominance, every motion commanding obedience. You missed the ceremony, Rael said, his voice low yet carrying an edge that demanded truth. Why? Celine's instinct was to shrink, to hide the exhaustion and fear from this unstoppable force. But her conscience would not lie. She stepped forward, unwavering despite the storm in his gaze. I helped someone who needed me, she admitted. I couldn't leave him. Rael's eyes softened for the briefest moment, almost imperceptibly. Then a smile, dark, enigmatic, and infuriatingly magnetic, curved his lips. You risked everything to help a stranger, yet here you stand. You are braver than I expected, he murmured, his voice dropping to a near growl. Perhaps that is exactly why I must claim you. Celine's heart skipped, trapped in a whirlwind of fear, desire, and curiosity. The stranger she had helped now seemed insignificant, compared to the man before her, the Alpha King who had come seeking her. Not for ceremony, not for ritual, but for her alone. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting fairy streaks across the sky, the first sparks of a forbidden, consuming bond ignited between them, and neither of them knew that this was only the beginning. Part 2. The Alpha's claim. The path from Celine's cottage to the heart of the pack lands was silent, except for Rael's measured footsteps and the occasional rustle of the forest. Every tree seemed to lean toward them, as if the very woods recognized the presence of the Alpha King. Celine walked beside him, her chest tight with anticipation and fear. Rael's silver eyes never left her. There was no harsh judgment in them, yet no softness either. They were the eyes of a predator who had found his mate and would not be denied. Rael said finally, his voice low, almost a purr. Most females would have dropped everything for the ceremony, yet you chose compassion over ritual. That intrigues me. Celine swallowed hard. I couldn't abandon him, she said softly, thinking of the stranger she had helped. It didn't matter if it was inconvenient or dangerous. Dangerous. Rael's lips curved in the faintest smirk. You have no idea what danger is until you face me. The words sent shivers down her spine. She wanted to protest, to assert herself. But the way he said it made her tongue falter. There was an undeniable power in his presence, a magnetic pull that she could not resist. When they arrived at the pack lands, the sprawling territory stretched beneath them like a living, breathing kingdom. Wolves of all sizes prowled along the tree line, eyes glinting with intelligence and loyalty. The scent of the pack was thick, raw, and primal, a mixture of musk earth and unspoken power. Celine's heart raced. This was her world now, whether she wanted it or not. Rael stopped near the central clearing, where a massive stone altar stood, engraved with the history of generations of alphas. He turned to face her, his presence towering and commanding. You will be mine, he said simply. Not a question, not a suggestion, an inevitable decree. Tonight, you will stay at my side. You will learn, and you will understand what it means to be claimed by the Alpha King. Celine felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. Being claimed meant more than protection. It meant scrutiny, expectation, and a bond that could not be broken. Yet, despite the danger, she felt an undeniable thrill. Something deep in her chest ached, longing for the connection she could already feel radiating from him. That night the full moon rose high, bathing the pack lands in silver light. The wolves howled, a chorus of power and dominance. Rael led Celine to a secluded grove, far from the prying eyes of the pack. The air between them was electric, charged with the unspoken promise of intimacy and intensity. He stepped close enough for her to feel the warmth radiating from him. His hands were large, powerful, and gentle as they brushed a strand of hair from her face. Celine's breath hitched. "You are more than I expected," Rael murmured, his forehead resting against hers. "You have courage, compassion, and fire. The fire is what will make you mine." Her pulse raced. Her hands trembled. She wanted to pull away to assert her independence, but she could not. The pull toward him was too strong, a gravitational force that left her both terrified and exhilarated. Rael's eyes glowed brighter in the moonlight. "Celine, you may have missed the ceremony, but the bond does not wait for tradition. It waits for destiny. And destiny has led me to you." Before she could respond, he lowered his lips to hers in a kiss that was commanding, possessive, and impossibly tender all at once. The world around them seemed to dissolve. The wolves' howls faded into nothing. Only the heat between them, the unbreakable pull, and the promise of a bond that would change everything existed. Celine felt herself surrendering, not just to the kiss, but to the inevitability of Rael. The Alpha King had found her, and in that moment she knew life would never be the same. The night was just beginning. Shadows danced between the trees, secrets whispered in the wind, and a bond older than the pack itself was beginning to take shape. But danger lurked on the edges, jealous rivals, pack politics, and a world that did not take kindly to defiance. Celine had chosen compassion over ceremony. Now, she would face a love that demanded everything, and a power that would test the very limits of her heart. Part 30 Trials of the Pack. The next morning, the sun barely pierced through the thick canopy, yet the pack lands were already alive with movement. Wolves patrolled, sentinels circled, and the lower-ranking members whispered and stared as Celine walked beside Rael. Every eye seemed to measure her, weighing her worth, judging her courage, or her folly. "Stay close," Rael said quietly, his voice like steel wrapped in velvet. "Not everyone will welcome you, and not all will survive testing you." Celine's pulse quickened. Testing her. She had thought the greatest challenge would be surviving the Alpha King's intensity. But now it seemed the pack itself was a battlefield. As they entered the central clearing, a murmur ran through the assembled pack. Celine could feel their scrutiny like invisible claws on her skin. The older alphas, the council members, even the younger warriors, all eyes were on her. Her hands tightened at her sides. She had always believed she was strong, but now strength alone might not be enough. Rael's gaze, however, never wavered. His presence was a shield and a warning all at once. He walked beside her like a predator marking its territory, fierce, protective, and undeniable. "You will learn quickly," Rael said, low and intimate, as if the words were meant only for her ears. "Here respect is earned, trust is not given, and the bond between us will be tested." Celine nodded, swallowing her fear. Somehow the fire he spoke of, the one he claimed made her his, was rising within her, ready to face anything. The first test came faster than she expected. A rival female, tall and sharp-eyed, stepped forward. Her lips curled into a smirk as she sized up Celine. "So, this is the one," she hissed. "The human who skipped the mating ceremony." Celine's stomach tightened. Rael's jaw clenched beside her. His hand brushed hers, subtle yet grounding. "Do not waste your breath," he growled. "She is mine." The rival's eyes narrowed, but she didn't back down. A challenge was laid bare, unspoken yet understood. Respect, power, and dominance were the language of this world, and Celine had just stepped into its fiercest dialect. "You will learn quickly?" Rael murmured again, his eyes locking with hers. "Fight when you must. Stand when you must. But above all, survive. Tonight we train, and I will teach you to hold your own." Night fell like a velvet cloak, and the training began. Celine had never fought like this before. Each movement tested her strength, her reflexes, and her courage. Rael watched her every strike, correcting her form with precise touches, his proximity igniting a fire she could barely contain. "Your guard is too high, lower it when you sense me," he instructed, his voice low and intimate, as if each word were a caress. "Trust me. Your fear will betray you, but your heart will guide you." Celine's breath came in shallow gasps, sweat dripping down her face, yet she couldn't look away from him. Every correction, every step closer, every near brush of his hand sent a shiver through her. She was fighting to survive, but the real battle was internal, fighting the pull he had on her soul, a force stronger than anything she had known. By the time the moon reached its zenith, the pack had taken notice. Celine, exhausted and bruised, stood tall beside Rael. She had survived the trials, had proven herself, not just to the pack, but to the Alpha King, who now regarded her with a mix of admiration and something deeper, something primal. "You are stronger than I imagined," Rael said, his silver eyes glinting. "Stronger than most who have ever stood before me. And now you belong fully to this world, to me." Celine's heart pounded in her chest. The words, simple yet profound, cemented the bond that had begun the night before. She was no longer just a helper, a passerby who missed a ceremony. She was claimed, desired, tested, and her journey with the Alpha King, the trials, the passion, the danger, was only beginning. But as dawn approached, a shadow lurked at the edge of the packlands. Rival alphas, jealous warriors, and secrets buried in the forest whispered of threats that would challenge both Celine's courage and the bond she had just begun to embrace. And Rael, the Alpha King who had come looking for her, would demand more than loyalty. He would demand surrender, body, mind, and heart. Part 40. Shadows in the pack. The morning sun had barely broken through the dense canopy when whispers spread through the pack like wildfire. Celine's presence, now undeniable as Rael's claimed mate, stirred unease. Some females glared, some muttered, and some wolves simply watched, calculating their next move. Power was a delicate balance in the pack, and a new bond, especially one as fiery and untested as Celine and Rael's, was a spark that could ignite chaos. Rael led her through the pack lands with purpose. His stride was long, confident, and unyielding, every movement a statement: "She belongs to me." Celine tried to keep up, her body sore from last night's training, but every step beside him was electrifying. "You feel their eyes," Rael murmured, his silver gaze piercing hers. "Let them look, let them doubt. Their whispers mean nothing. Only your strength and our bond matters." Celine nodded, her stomach fluttering as a mix of fear and desire surged within her. She had survived the first trials, but this was something far more dangerous. As they reached the high cliffs overlooking the northern forest, a low growl rumbled from the shadows. Celine tensed, instinctively placing herself slightly behind Rael. From the underbrush, a pair of eyes glinted. A rival alpha, a male from a neighboring territory known for his cunning and cruelty. "You've taken what is not yours," the rival hissed, stepping into the clearing, his voice dripped with venom. "She should have been mine, not yours." Rael's body shifted, his presence radiating raw power. Wolves in the surrounding area bristled, forming a circle of silent guardians. "She is mine," Rael said, his voice a growl that made the trees shiver. "And you will not touch her." The rival snarled, but he did not attack. He understood Rael's dominance, the kind that demanded obedience. He slunk back into the shadows, leaving only the echo of his threat behind. Celine exhaled shakily, heart racing, realizing just how dangerous this world could be, and how fiercely Rael would protect her. Back at the central clearing, the training resumed. But now it was different. Rael pushed her further, not just physically but emotionally. Every glance, every touch carried weight, every movement a lesson in surrender and trust. "You cannot hide from the bond, Celine," he whispered as he corrected her stance during a sparring session. His hand lingered at the small of her back, guiding her, grounding her. "It will find you. It will consume you. And the more you resist, the stronger it becomes." Her breath hitched. She felt the magnetic pull between them, the kind that left her trembling, raw, and achingly aware of every inch of him. "You want control, don't you?" she whispered back, a mixture of defiance and longing. Rael's lips curved into a slow, knowing smile. "Control," he repeated softly, his voice dropping to a near growl. "No, Celine, this is not about control. This is about claiming what is already mine and showing you the depths of the fire you carry inside." Night fell, painting the packlands in silver and shadow. Rael led Celine to the sacred lake, its surface reflecting the moon like molten silver. Wolves howled in the distance, their voices echoing through the forest as if heralding the bond that had now taken root. Rael stepped close, brushing water from her cheek with his thumb. "You are mine," he murmured, his voice low and intimate. "Not by ceremony, not by tradition, by choice, by destiny." Celine's heart pounded, her body responding to the heat radiating from him. Every instinct screamed both warning and desire. And when he closed the distance, capturing her lips in a kiss that was fierce, consuming, and tender all at once, the world around them dissolved. Only the two of them existed, tangled in a bond that neither could resist nor deny. The kiss deepened, hands exploring, bodies pressed close. Rael's strength was overwhelming, yet his touch was careful, deliberate, as if savoring every heartbeat and shiver he could evoke. Celine surrendered, letting herself be drawn into the intensity of their connection, the fire between them now impossible to ignore. As the night stretched on, shadows lingered at the edges of the forest, whispers of rivals plotting, threats unspoken but ever present. Celine and Rael had claimed each other, but in the world of the pack, love was never simple, and danger never far. The bond had begun, but its trials were just starting. Part 5. Secrets and Shadows. The sun had barely risen over the packlands, but the air was already heavy with tension. Whispers followed Celine wherever she went, wolves curious, jealous, or resentful of the Alpha King's claim. Every glance felt like a test, every murmur a challenge. She had survived physical trials, but navigating the politics of the pack was an entirely different beast. Rael walked beside her, his presence a constant shield. Even in silence, he radiated authority, making it clear that anyone who dared challenge her, or him, would face consequences. "You are new to this world," he murmured, voice low, meant only for her. "And they will test you. But remember, Celine's strength is not just physical. It is in your choices, in your courage, and in your fire." Celine nodded, swallowing the lump in her throat. She felt the weight of his gaze, the unspoken warning and promise rolled into one. Later in the council hall, Rael introduced Celine formally. Wolves from allied packs and rivals alike watched her every move, some with open hostility, others with cautious respect. A senior alpha, tall and imposing, stepped forward. "She is young, inexperienced," he said, voice dripping with doubt. "Are you sure you've chosen wisely, Rael?" Rael's silver eyes burned with silent fury. "She is mine," he said simply. "And that is all that matters. Any who oppose her will answer to me." The room fell silent. Even the murmurs stopped. Power had spoken. And yet, beneath the surface, tension simmered, waiting for the moment to explode. That evening, Rael led Celine to a private glade deep in the forest. The moonlight reflected off a small waterfall, scattering silver across the rocks and trees. Wolves howled in the distance, a reminder of the world outside. But here, it was just them. Rael stepped close, his breath warm against her ear. "You have survived the pack's scrutiny, Celine, but now comes the deeper test. You must learn to trust me completely." Her pulse quickened. I trust you," she whispered, though a tremor ran through her voice. He tilted her chin up, forcing her to meet his silver gaze. "You will need more than trust," he said, voice low, commanding, intimate. "You will need to surrender to the bond, to the fire between us." Before she could respond, his hands moved with precision, strong yet gentle, tracing the curve of her jaw, sliding down her neck. Celine's breath hitched. The forest seemed to hold its breath with them, every leaf and shadow attentive to their movements. Rael's lips found hers in a kiss that was fierce, demanding, and intoxicating. Every touch, every motion carried the weight of his dominance and desire. Celine felt herself melting into him, the fire in her chest consuming all fear, leaving only a raw, aching need. Hours passed like minutes as the bond between them deepened. Rael guided her through the intensity, teaching her the unspoken language of the alpha and his mate. How to surrender, how to command, how to ignite desire without losing strength. Every moment left her trembling, every touch imprinting itself on her soul. When they finally broke apart, breathless and flushed, Rael rested his forehead against hers. "You are mine," he whispered, silver eyes burning into hers. "And no force, no threat, no rival, no shadow will change that." Celine's heart pounded, a mix of fear, exhilaration, and undeniable desire. She had stepped into the world of the pack, survived its politics, and now experienced a connection that went beyond words, beyond ritual, beyond even reason. But outside the glade, shadows moved unseen. Rival alphas whispered in the darkness, plotting. There were wolves who would not accept her, enemies who would exploit her inexperience, and secrets buried deep in the forest. Secrets that could destroy everything Rael had built and everything she had come to mean to him. For Celine, the trials were far from over. And for Rael, claiming her was only the beginning. The fire between them had been lit, but the world would test it, and the bond they shared, in ways neither of them could yet imagine. Part 60, The First Challenge. The dawn mist clung to the forest like a shroud, and the pack lands were eerily silent. Celine walked beside Rael, her senses on high alert. Even the faintest rustle of leaves or snapping of twigs set her heart racing. The peace of the previous night had been deceptive. Danger was coming. Rael's hand brushed hers, grounding her. His silver eyes scanned the forest, sharp and alert. "They are watching," he murmured. "Jailous rivals, lurking shadows they do not forgive, and they do not forget. Today you will see the reality of the pack." Celine swallowed hard. The forest no longer felt safe. Every tree, every shadow seemed to hide an enemy. Yet beside Rael she felt a strange, fierce courage. The first attack came suddenly. A rival alpha, taller and broader than most, emerged from the trees, flanked by two loyal followers. Their eyes glinted with malice, and their intent was clear. "You think you can claim what is not yours?" The alpha snarled, voice thick with venom. "She should have been mine." Rael stepped forward, his presence overwhelming. Wolves around them bristled and growled, circling like a living wall of power. "She is mine," Rael growled, his silver eyes burning with intensity. "And anyone who challenges that will regret it." The rival alpha laughed, a low, menacing sound. "We'll see about that," he said, lunging forward. Celine froze, but Rael moved like lightning, intercepting the attack with a powerful sweep of his arm. The rival staggered, surprised by the Alpha King's ferocity. Rael's voice was a low growl. "Now, Celine, show me the fire you carry." Heart pounding, Celine stepped forward. Her hands shook, but her resolve was solid. She had trained, she had survived the pack's scrutiny, and she had earned her place beside Rael. With a swift movement, she dodged a strike from one of the followers and countered with precision, her strength fueled by fear and determination. The rival's eyes widened. "Impossible," he muttered. Rael's lips curved into a faint smile. "You underestimated her," he said, pressing a protective hand to her back, guiding her through the fight. Every touch, every whispered word, strengthened her, tied her closer to him. When the fight ended, the rivals retreated, nursing bruises and egos alike. Celine's body trembled, adrenaline still coursing through her veins. Rael pulled her close, his arms wrapping around her with protective insistence. "You did well," he murmured, voice low and intimate. "Brave, fierce mine." Celine's breath hitched. The danger had passed, but the intensity between them had not. His proximity, his warmth, his dominance, all of it left her trembling in ways she had never imagined. Rael's lips brushed hers in a gentle, possessive kiss. "The pack is dangerous," he said. "But you are fire. And fire cannot be tamed, only harnessed." That night in the sanctuary of Rael's private quarters, the tension exploded in a more intimate way. Rael traced patterns along Celine's skin, each touch deliberate, consuming. She trembled under his hands, feeling the intensity of the bond deepen. "You are mine," he whispered against her ear, voice rough with desire. "And every breath, every heartbeat belongs to me." Celine surrendered to the fire, to the bond, to the Alpha King who had found her when she least expected it. The passion between them was no longer gentle, it was consuming, relentless, yet tender, a storm of emotions that left her breathless, craving more. But outside the walls of safety, shadows lingered. Rivals were regrouping, secrets simmered in hidden corners of the forest, and a force more dangerous than jealous alphas was beginning to stir, one that could threaten Celine Rael, and the bond that had just begun to blaze. The trials were far from over, and the Alpha King and his mate were about to face challenges that would test not just strength and courage, but loyalty, heart, and the very essence of their connection. Part 70 Fire and Blood. The night was thick with fog, curling around the ancient trees like ghostly fingers. Celine moved silently through the forest, guided only by the faint glow of the moon. Rael had sent her on a task, to retrieve a rare herb that grew near the northern cliffs, one that was essential for the pack's survival. Alone. Her heart pounded. She had trained, yes, but this was different. No one was there to intervene if danger struck. No one except the distant presence of Rael, whose bond hummed through her veins, warning her, urging her caution. The sound came first, a rustle, subtle yet deliberate, unlike the wind. Celine froze, senses sharp. Two figures emerged from the shadows. Wolves from a rival pack, their eyes gleaming with malice. "You are far from safety, little mate," one sneered. "The Alpha King will not save you tonight." Celine's stomach twisted, but she drew a deep breath. The fire Rael had spoken of ignited within her. She was claimed, yes, but she was no helpless prey. With every step, every breath, she focused, channeling the courage that had carried her this far. When they lunged, she dodged instinctively, remembering every lesson Rael had taught her, the way he had guided her hands, the movements he had drilled into her. She struck back, precise, fast, and furious, surprising them. Then, a growl tore through the air, low, menacing, and impossibly close. Rael appeared as if summoned by the bond itself, eyes glowing silver in the fog. The rivals froze, sensing the overwhelming power emanating from him. "You will not touch her," he growled, voice rolling through the forest like thunder. The fight was brutal and cinematic. Rael moved with a terrifying grace, fangs and claws striking with lethal precision. Celine fought beside him, the fire between them fueling every movement. She felt alive in a way she had never imagined, every heartbeat synchronizing with his. When it was over, the rivals lay beaten, retreating into the shadows, their threat diminished but not entirely gone. Breathless and shaking, Celine collapsed into Rael's arms. He held her tightly, his chest against hers, his warmth a shield against the chill of fear. "You did well," he whispered, lips brushing her hairline. "You were fire, and fire cannot be destroyed." Tears pricked at Celine's eyes, not from fear, but from relief, exhilaration, and a raw, unspoken desire that surged every time she was near him. Rael's gaze held hers, silver eyes dark with intensity, his hands tracing the curves of her face, grounding her, claiming her, igniting her. Later, in the safety of the Alpha's quarters, the tension between them erupted in a different way. Rael pressed her against him, every touch fierce yet tender, a storm of longing and dominance. "You faced death tonight," he murmured, voice low and rough with need. "And yet, you stood tall, strong, unbroken. That is what makes you mine." Celine shivered, overwhelmed by the intensity of the bond. Their lips met, a kiss that was desperate, consuming, and tender all at once. The fire between them surged, consuming every fear, every doubt, leaving only raw, undeniable connection. As the night deepened, Rael whispered promises into her ear, of protection, of dominance, of an unbreakable bond forged in fire, blood, and desire. Celine surrendered completely, feeling the Alpha King claim not just her body, but her heart, her spirit, and the very essence of her being. Outside, the forest seemed to hold its breath. Rival packs were regrouping. Secrets stirred, and a greater, more insidious threat waited in the shadows, one that would challenge both Rael and Celine in ways they could never have anticipated. For now, though, they were together, fire and blood intertwined, a bond forged in combat, trust, and undeniable passion. Part 8 Battle in the Shadows. The forest was alive with tension. Wolves stirred, ears pricked, muscles coiled like springs. Rael stood at the edge of the clearing, Celine beside him, both of them tense and ready. The rival packs had made their move, An audacious strike intended to challenge Rael's claim and test Celine's place beside him. "You must stay close," Rael said, his silver eyes scanning the perimeter. "Do not engage unless I command it. Remember everything you've learned. Trust the bond." Celine nodded, heart hammering. She had trained, fought, and survived before. But this was different. The stakes were higher. Death, humiliation, and the challenge to her claim as Rael's mate loomed over her like a storm cloud. The first wave came like a pack of shadows. Wolves from rival territories lunged from the trees, fangs bared, eyes glowing in the dim light. The clash was immediate, chaotic and cinematic, movement, growls, and the flash of claws slicing the misty air. Rael moved like a force of nature, lethal and precise. Celine followed his lead, her body moving instinctively, every strike and dodge in sync with him. She had never felt so alive, so powerful, so connected. The bond thrummed between them, a magnetic force guiding her hands, her feet, her very instincts. "You are stronger than I imagined," Rael growled in her ear during the fight, silver eyes blazing. "Do not fear them, fear me if you do not fight." Celine's breath caught, the combination of adrenaline, danger, and Rael's proximity igniting something inside her that was raw, fiery, and impossible to deny. The battle raged, shifting across the clearing. Wolves fell, some fleeing, others defeated. Amid the chaos, a rival alpha emerged, a massive, snarling figure, teeth bared, clearly intending to challenge Rael himself. Rael's presence shifted, a low, lethal growl rolling through the clearing. "Stay behind me," he commanded, his voice iron, wrapped velvet. "This is my fight." But Celine did not step back. Instead, she moved beside him, instincts sharpened by training and fear and determination. The bond between them surged, guiding their movements like a single entity. Together, they were unstoppable. When the rival alpha lunged at Rael, Celine intercepted, her hands gripping his arm instinctively. The clash was violent, cinematic, and charged with unspoken tension, her courage and his dominance intertwining. Rael's eyes met hers, silver fire in their depths. "You are mine," he whispered, voice low, nearly a growl. "And no force in this world can take you from me." Celine shivered, heart pounding, body alight with adrenaline and desire. She struck, ducked, and countered, every movement in sync with him, every heartbeat echoing theirs. Together, they were more than powerful. They were unstoppable, a force that no rival could withstand. When the dust settled, the rival packs had retreated, leaving the clearing littered with the remnants of battle. Wolves howled in unison, a victory cry that resonated through the forest. Rael's hand found Celine's, gripping it tightly, grounding her, claiming her again in the aftermath. "You did well," he murmured, pressing a possessive kiss to her temple. "You are fire, my fire, and no shadow, no rival, no threat will ever take that away from us." Celine's body trembled, part exhaustion, part relief, part the lingering heat of desire that surged whenever he touched her. Their bond, forged in combat, trust, and fire, had never been stronger. That night in the sanctuary of Rael's private quarters, the bond deepened further. The fire between them became impossible to ignore, intimate, consuming, and tender all at once. Rael guided her through the intensity, exploring the depths of their connection, showing her the power of being his mate beyond the battlefield, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. But outside, whispers of revenge stirred. Rivals had been humiliated, but grudges do not die easily. Secrets in the shadows awaited, ready to test Celine and Rael in ways neither of them had yet imagined. The fire had been ignited, the bond forged in blood and desire, but the war for the pack's future, and for their hearts, was far from over. Part 9. Betrayal in the shadows. The forest was unusually silent that morning, the calm before a storm. Celine walked beside Rael through the pack lands, every nerve alert. Even after surviving battle, the air was heavy with tension. Something was amiss. She could feel it. The subtle shift in the wolves' behavior, the sideways glances, the hushed whispers. Rael noticed it too. His hand brushed hers briefly, a grounding touch that spoke volumes. "There are eyes on you," he murmured, his silver gaze scanning the tree line. "Not all in the pack are loyal. Some wish to see you falter." Celine's stomach tightened. She had proven herself in combat, had survived trials, and yet she realized the pack's politics were as dangerous as any rival alpha's fangs. At the council hall, the betrayal became clear. A trusted lieutenant, one Rael had relied on, stepped forward, feigning loyalty but with a subtle edge of venom. "Alpha King," the lieutenant said smoothly, bowing low. "Perhaps Celine is not ready to carry the weight of this pack. Perhaps she needs guidance." Rael's silver eyes narrowed, the intensity like a storm breaking. "Guidance," he echoed, voice low and dangerous. "She has proven herself in fire, blood, and battle. Anyone who questions her place questions me, and I do not forgive such audacity." Celine felt a shiver run through her, part fear, part exhilaration. The bond between them pulsed, stronger than ever. Rael's presence was her anchor, his power flowing through her as they faced this silent threat together. Later, in the sanctuary of the private quarters, Rael's hands found her, possessive and commanding. "They may challenge you," he murmured, lips brushing her ear. "They may plot against you. But remember this, no one, no force can take you from me. You are mine, body, mind, heart, and soul." Celine shivered under his touch, the words sinking deep into her. His dominance was protective, intoxicating, and undeniable. She had feared the pack's politics, but with him, she felt invincible. That night, danger struck again. A rival alpha attempted a covert attack on the pack lands, hoping to exploit the unrest within. Selene and Rael confronted them at the edge of the forest, tension crackling in the air like lightning. "You thought you could take her from me?" Rael growled, silver eyes flashing with fury. "She is mine, and no shadow in this forest will change that." Selene's heart pounded, adrenaline surging. Together they moved with seamless coordination, the bond guiding them, connecting them, making them unstoppable. Every strike, every dodge, every command from Rael strengthened her, tethered her closer to him. When the threat was neutralized, Rael pressed her against him, lips finding hers in a fierce, consuming kiss. "You are fire," he whispered between breaths, "and fire is mine to claim." In the quiet aftermath, Selene realized something profound. She had survived battles, rivalries, and betrayals, but the true strength of their bond was not just in combat. It was in the intimacy, the trust, and the undeniable connection that tethered them across danger and desire. The Alpha King had found her when she least expected it, claimed her in ways that transcended ceremony and ritual, and now, even in the face of treachery, their bond blazed brighter than ever. Outside, the forest waited, alive with secrets and shadows. Rivals may plan, betrayals may stir, but Selene and Rael's fire, tested in combat and passion, was unbreakable. Part-tendered the Alpha's ultimate claim. The moon hung high, silver and ominous, casting eerie shadows across the pack lands. The forest was alive with the low rumble of tension. Selene stood beside Rael, heart pounding, senses sharp. Tonight the rival packs had gathered, smarter, deadlier, and more ruthless than before. "You must stay close," Rael murmured, his silver eyes glowing in the moonlight. "They will try everything, but no force can take what is mine." Selene nodded, feeling the fire within her pulse in sync with his. The bond that had grown over battles, trials, and whispers of betrayal now pulsed between them like a living force. She was not just his mate, she was his equal in courage, his partner in strength, and the only one who could truly face the night with him. The first wave hit like a storm. Wolves lunged from the trees, fangs bared, eyes glowing with hunger and malice. Rael moved with the grace of a predator and the precision of a king. Selene fought beside him, their movements perfectly in sync, hearts and instincts aligned. "You are fire," Rael growled in her ear as she dodged a strike. "And fire cannot be conquered, only embraced." Her hands struck with precision, her feet moved instinctively, and every touch from him grounded her, tethering her strength to his. Together they were a force that no rival could withstand. Amid the chaos, the leader of the rival packs emerged. Massive, snarling alpha with silver eyes nearly as bright as Rael's. The two Alpha Kings clashed, the fight brutal and cinematic. Fangs, claws, and raw power collided. Selene felt the bond surge through her, guiding her, giving her courage to intercept strikes and defend the pack lands. "You are mine," Rael roared, fangs flashing as he blocked a deadly strike aimed at Selene. His hands pressed to her shoulders, grounding her even as the fight raged around them. Selene's breath hitched not from fear, but from the heat of the moment. Adrenaline, danger, and desire coiling together. Every instinct, every move, every heartbeat was tied to him, and she would not falter. When the rival Alpha finally fell, defeated and retreating with his pack, silence descended on the forest. Wolves howled in victory, the sound echoing through the trees like a declaration of dominance. Rael's eyes found Selene's, silver fire tempered with awe, admiration, and something deeper, possession and love. "You faced them all," he murmured, his voice low, intimate, carrying power and desire. "And you did not break. You are mine, completely." Selene's chest heaved. The fight, the danger, and the intensity of the night had left her trembling. Yet beneath the exhaustion, a fierce heat remained, a fire that burned only for Rael. Later, in the sanctuary of the Alpha King's private quarters, the intensity of their bond transformed into something more intimate. Rael traced her skin with deliberate, possessive touches, every movement a claim, every whisper a promise. "You are mine," he murmured, lips brushing her ear, silver eyes smoldering. In battle, in passion, in heart, in every breath, Selene surrendered completely, body and soul, to the fire, to the bond, to the Alpha who had come for her, claimed her, and protected her. Every kiss, every touch, every heartbeat solidified what had been forged in danger and desire. By dawn, the packlands were secure, the rivals vanquished, or at least driven back. Selene and Rael stood together, bloodied but unbroken, fire and power entwined, an unbreakable bond sealed by trials, passion, and trust. The Alpha King had claimed his mate, not just in ritual, not just in word, but in every heartbeat, every danger survived, and every intimate moment shared. And yet, in the shadows, whispers lingered. Secrets and threats still existed. But for now, Selene and Rael had proven one undeniable truth: their bond was unstoppable, unyielding, and eternal. Part 11. The Alpha's Mate. The first rays of dawn stretched across the packlands, turning the forest into a tapestry of gold and green. The battle was over, rivals driven away, and the pack settled into a cautious calm. Selene walked beside Rael, still bruised and bloodied, but her chest swelled with pride and confidence. "You've proven yourself," Rael said, voice low. the silver fire in his eyes softening into something intimate, almost tender. Not just in battle, but in spirit. Every wolf in this pack knows now you are mine, and you belong here. Celine's lips curved into a small, proud smile. I never wanted to belong not like this, she admitted. But with you it feels different, safe, strong, like I was meant to be here. Rael's hand found hers, their fingers entwining naturally, possessively. This is more than safety, Celine, he murmured. It's a bond, one forged in fire, blood, and desire, one that will withstand anything. The pack watched as Rael formally introduced Celine as his mate. Wolves of every rank bowed slightly, a mixture of respect, awe, and grudging acceptance in their eyes. Even the skeptical females and jealous warriors could not deny her courage and the undeniable bond she shared with the Alpha King. Later, as the sun climbed higher, Rael led Celine to a secluded waterfall within the pack lands. The cascading water sparkled like molten silver, creating a private world just for them. You've seen the edge of danger? Rael said, brushing a damp strand of hair from her face. No. You will learn the depth of our bond, the fire between us that goes beyond survival. Celine's breath hitched as he stepped closer, the air between them charged with tension and desire. The touch of his hand against her cheek sent shivers through her, the magnetism of his presence pulling her closer. Their kiss was slow, deliberate, and consuming. Every touch spoke of ownership and trust, every whispered word of dominance and desire. Celine trembled against him, surrendering not out of weakness, but because the fire between them demanded it. You are mine? Rael murmured against her lips, teeth grazing her lower lip in a soft, teasing yet commanding gesture. And I will protect you, claim you, and keep you body, heart, and soul. Celine's hands explored his strong frame, the tension of the previous battles giving way to the heat of intimacy. In the privacy of the waterfall's mist, they were no longer alpha and mate. Just two souls entwined, discovering the depth of their connection in tender yet powerful ways. By nightfall, Celine had fully stepped into her role. Not just as Rael's mate, but as a partner in his pack, a symbol of courage, loyalty, and fire. Yet, even in the aftermath of victory, the shadows lingered. Whispers of rival packs, lingering threats, and secret enemies waiting in the dark reminded them that peace was temporary. Rael's silver gaze met hers, a silent promise passing between them. Whatever comes, he said softly, pulling her close. We'll face it together. Our bond is stronger than fear, stronger than enemies, stronger than the world itself. Celine rested her head against his chest, listening to the rhythm of his heartbeat, feeling the warmth of his body, and the unshakable truth of their connection. The Alpha King had claimed her fully, and she would never turn away. In the shadows, secrets waited, but in his arms, Celine found firepower and love that could not be broken. Part 120 Bonds Beyond Blood. The morning sun spilled gold across the pack lands, turning the forest into a serene kingdom. For the first time in weeks, Celine felt a calm she hadn't known she could feel. The pack was safe for now, and her place beside Rael was no longer questioned. Rael walked beside her as they made their way to the inner sanctum of the pack, a hidden grove lined with ancient stones engraved with the history of their lineage. Wolves of every rank bowed in respect as they passed, acknowledging Celine not just as Rael's mate, but as a symbol of strength and courage. You've earned their respect, Rael said softly, his silver eyes scanning her face. Not through title, not through ceremony, but through fire, blood, and your unyielding spirit. That is what makes you mine. Celine's heart swelled at his words. I've never felt like I belonged anywhere, she admitted quietly. But with you I feel like I've found home. Rael's lips brushed hers in a soft, possessive kiss, grounding her in a world that had once seemed chaotic and dangerous. Home, he murmured, is wherever I am with you. In the heart of the grove, Rael led her through the first of the pack's bonding rituals, a private tradition between the Alpha and his mate. Water from a sacred spring was poured over their hands, a symbol of unity, trust, and shared power. Wolves circled respectfully, howling in a chorus that resonated deep within the forest. Every bond is forged in choice. Rael explained, his hands holding hers as the water flowed between them. But ours is forged in destiny. Celine felt the significance of the ritual deep in her chest, the fire of their connection sparking brighter than ever. Her fingers intertwined with his, her heartbeat sensing with his, the bond tangible in ways that transcended words. Later, alone beneath the waterfall, Rael's touches became more intimate, deliberate, and consuming. The tension that had built over months, the danger, the rivalry, the battles, exploded into passion, their connection reaching heights of intensity neither had anticipated. You are mine, Rael whispered, voice rough with need, silver eyes blazing. In body, in heart, in soul, and nothing will ever change that. Celine surrendered, not out of fear or weakness, but because the bond demanded it. Every kiss, every touch, every sigh reinforced the fire between them. In his arms, she was both safe and consumed, cherished and claimed, a force intertwined with the Alpha who had found her. Yet, in the shadows beyond the grove, whispers lingered. Rivals who had been humiliated were regrouping, and secrets buried deep in the forest threatened to resurface. The peace Celine had begun to enjoy was fragile, a reminder that the pack's world was never truly still. Rael sensed it too, his gaze scanning the tree line even as he held her close. Threats may linger, he murmured, but with me you are untouchable. The fire between us will keep you safe. Always. Selene pressed closer, letting his warmth fill her, anchoring her in the truth of their bond. The Alpha King had claimed her fully, body, heart, and soul, and together they were a force that no enemy could break. The shadows may wait, the rivals may plot, but in this moment, surrounded by the whispers of the forest and the howls of their loyal pack, Selene knew one undeniable truth: her fire, her heart, and her destiny belonged to Rael, and his to her. Part 13 Secrets Beneath the Moon. The moon hung low over the packlands, silver light spilling across the trees, painting everything in shades of mystery. Selene walked beside Rael, feeling the quiet tension that had settled over the forest. Though the pack was safe, not all threats had vanished. The rival alphas lingered in the shadows, nursing grudges and plotting vengeance. You feel it, don't you? Rael murmured, his silver eyes scanning the darkness. There are forces at work that even the pack cannot see. And there's something you must know, something I should have told you long ago. Selene's stomach tightened. Secrets in the pack world were dangerous, more dangerous than any rival or battle. What is it? She asked, voice soft but steady. Rael's jaw clenched. A danger from my past. He admitted, voice low, almost reluctant. It's why I've been so protective, so relentless. If they ever discover you, it will mean more than just a fight. It will mean everything we've built could be destroyed. Selene's pulse quickened. Then I'll face it with you, she said firmly, gripping his hand. I belong here, with you. Whatever comes, we face it together. Later, Rael led Selene to the sacred cliffs overlooking the northern forest. A place of solitude, of reflection, and of power. The wind whipped around them, carrying the scent of earth, water, and danger. You have proven yourself in battle, Rael said, voice low and intimate. But there is another test of heart, of trust, of our bond. You must understand the depths of being my mate. Selene's breath caught as he stepped closer, silver eyes blazing with intensity. Every touch, every movement radiated power and desire. I'm ready, she whispered. Rael's hands traced the curve of her jaw, down her neck, grounding her, claiming her. Being my mate is more than protection, he murmured. It is surrender, trust, and fire. You are mine, Selene. Every heartbeat, every breath belongs to me. Their kiss was slow, consuming, and cinematic, echoing the intensity of battles survived, dangers faced, and the fire that bound them. Each touch, each caress deepened the connection, leaving them trembling and intertwined beneath the moonlight. As dawn approached, the forest whispered of hidden enemies and secrets yet to surface. Selene realized that danger would always lurk, but so would love, desire, and an unbreakable bond. Rael's arms around her were a shield, his lips a promise, his presence a force that nothing could penetrate. Together they were unstoppable, alpha and mate, fire and shadow, love and desire entwined. The bond was solidified, the secret acknowledged, and yet the story of the pack, the rivals, and the challenges that awaited was far from over. Part 14. Shadows and Desire. The night air was thick with tension. Selene sensed it even before Rael spoke. A ripple through the forest, subtle yet charged with intent. The rival packs were no longer content with whispers and minor attacks. They were coming, and Selene knew she would have to face them, whether she wanted to or not. Rael's hand found hers, fingers locking possessively. His silver eyes scanned the darkness, every muscle coiled, ready to strike. They will try to take you, he murmured, voice low and dangerous. But they will fail. You are mine. Do you understand? Selene nodded, heart pounding, adrenaline coursing through her veins. I understand, and I trust you. The bond between them pulsed, a tangible force that seemed to electrify the air. She felt his presence deep in her bones, his strength guiding her, claiming her, protecting her even when danger lurked unseen. The first attack came like a storm. Wolves from rival territories lunged from the shadows, eyes glowing and fangs bared. Rael moved with predatory precision, every strike calculated and lethal. Selene fought beside him, instinct and training guiding her every move. You are fire, Rael growled, brushing past her in a seamless maneuver that saved her from a deadly strike. And fire cannot be contained, only embraced. Selene's breath caught. Each movement beside him, every touch, every protective gesture, reinforced the bond that pulsed between them. The danger around them heightened the intensity of their connection, a mix of fear, adrenaline, and desire. When the rivals retreated, regrouping in the shadows, Rael pulled Selene close, lips brushing her ear. You faced death tonight, he whispered, voice rough with passion. And yet you stood strong. You are mine completely, body, heart, soul. Selene shivered under his touch, the heat of desire and relief mingling. Every kiss, every caress, every whispered claim reinforced their bond, making it impossible to deny. She surrendered fully, not out of fear, but because fire demanded surrender, because the Alpha King had found her and claimed her in ways that transcended ritual, combat, and words. Later, in the sanctuary of the waterfall, they let themselves fully embrace the intimacy that had been building for months. Rael's hands traced her curves, his lips worshipping every inch of her skin, every sigh, every shiver. You are mine, he murmured, silver eyes smoldering with dominance and desire. and nothing, no rival, no shadow, no secret, can ever change that. Celine trembled, melting into him, their connection raw, consuming, and eternal. In his arms she found safety and fire, love and longing, trust and surrender, all bound together by the unbreakable claim of the Alpha King. Outside, the forest waited, alive with whispers of vengeance. Rivals plotted, secrets stirred, and danger lingered. But inside the circle of fire and passion that was Rael and Celine, nothing could touch them. Their bond had been tested in battle, in betrayal, in fear, and in desire, and it had only grown stronger. The Alpha King had claimed his mate, and she had claimed him in return. Together, they were unstoppable. Part 15 in The Revel's Gambit. The forest was silent, almost too silent, as Celine and Rael patrolled the outskirts of the packlands. Rael's silver eyes scanned the shadows, muscles tense and ready. The earlier skirmishes had been just a warning. Now, the rivals were plotting something far more dangerous. Something that could shake the very foundations of the pack. I feel it, Celine murmured, clutching Rael's arm. Something is coming. Something worse. Rael's jaw tightened. You are right. They are planning a strike. Not at the edges of the pack, but here. At the heart, at you? Celine froze. At me. Her voice trembled, but the fire in her chest refused to die. Why me? Rael's silver gaze softened, yet it burned with protective fury. Because you are mine. They cannot stand it, and now they are desperate. But they will fail. I will not let them touch you. That night the rivals made their move. Shadowy figures emerged under the cover of darkness, aiming to ambush Celine and draw Rael into a trap. The fight erupted in cinematic chaos, wolves lunging, claws flashing, teeth bared, and the tension of danger electrifying every moment. Celine moved with a fierce determination, instincts sharpened, training and trust guiding her every strike. But then, one of the rivals attempted to isolate her, slipping through the chaos with a knife gleaming under the moonlight. Rael's senses screamed. With a roar that shook the trees, he intercepted the attack, knocking the rival away with lethal precision. Silver eyes blazing, he growled, You will never touch her again. Adrenaline and relief surged through Celine as Rael pressed her close, breath mingling with hers. You are fire, he whispered, voice rough with desire. And fire cannot be broken, only claimed, only mine. Her body trembled against him, not from fear but from the intensity of their bond, the raw connection forged in battle, trust, and desire. She surrendered to him completely, letting the wave of passion, need, and protection wash over her. Later, in the private sanctuary of the waterfall, Rael's hands traced every curve of her body, claiming her with possessive intensity. Every kiss, every touch, every whispered claim reinforced the fire between them, solidifying their bond beyond fear, beyond danger, and beyond rivals. You are mine, Rael murmured, silver eyes smoldering, and nothing in this world can take you from me. No threat, no shadow, no enemy can break what we share. Celine's fingers curled into his hair, her lips meeting his in a kiss that was desperate, consuming, and tender all at once. In his arms, she was safe, yet aflame with desire. Every heartbeat, every touch, every breath tied them closer, forging an unbreakable connection. Outside, the rival packs retreated, but the threat remained. They had revealed part of their ultimate plan, one that would demand Celine and Rael's full strength, strategy, and trust in each other. The forest whispered of danger yet to come. But the bond between the Alpha King and his mate blazed brighter than any shadow. For now they had survived. For now they were together, and the fire that bound them could withstand anything, even the darkest of plots.